shorting. So I think there's that example that I saw on like, I don't know, Twitter or something like that. And it was saying that, suppose Theon, you have a pair of what's that shoe people like? Adidas or no? Clarks, yes. Yo, did you watch no, I shouldn't talk about that. Yeah, so suppose you have a pair of Clarks and the Clarks are very popular. Like, right now it's very hard to get that specific pair of Clarks. Like everyone's like, yo, I want that. And say like the price nice of that Clarks
suede bank robbers, yeah man.
Yeah,
cheese bottoms, yeah man.
Cheese, okay. So say the price of that Clarks is, I don't know, to make it easy, let's say it's $100, $100 US, right? And I said you have that pair of Clarks, right? But you've never worn them. You just keep it
in my box,
in the box, and it's like brand new in that, right? And you aren't planning to wear it till, I don't know, like say it's your birthday, so it's a few months from now. So you say, yo, I have these Clarks, cost $100, and I'm like, wait, suppose I'm doing my little research, and I see that there is gonna be like right now it's in very low supply, it's very hard to get, but Clarks is actually announcing that they are about to, or I see on like a thread that, hey, we're going to, suppose I even know someone at work at Nike and they're saying, hey, we're going to drop, at Clarks, and they're like, hey, we're actually going to start increasing supply. We're going to start manufacturing it again. And so that low supply one is the supply is likely going to increase. And I have that info and I'm like, hey, what I could do, when I expect that when people, maybe when that announcement comes out, that they're going to start making the shoe that they never made before, or they're not that they never made, they stopped making for like a long time, or essentially they're going to increase the supply. If the demand were to stay the same now, what will happen is the value will drop. So I go to you and I say, hey, Theon, what I will do, I'm good for the money, so lend me your shoe. I'm not going to wear it. What I will do is actually sell it to someone for the $100 US. So I go to you, I say, hey, I will pay you, or maybe I pay a little fee. I say, yo, I'll pay you $10. And what I will do is I will borrow the shoe. I won't wear it, and I'll give you back your shoe in time for you when you need it a few months from now in September, right? So I sell it to someone. They say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got the shoe. They buy it from me. So I paid you I paid you $10. You gave me, I sold it to the person. They gave me $100. So I have that $100 US in hand. And when that news comes out, they're going to start making this shoe that they haven't made in a long time. The price drops, and now you can buy it online for $50.
Yeah.
With that $100 I could buy 2 pairs of shoes. And then I go back to you and I say, here's your shoe, bro. And you say, yeah, thanks. But I now have that shoe.
Yeah.
Or I could say, yo, with my $100, I will buy 1 pair of shoes for you, and then I'll leave the $50. I go back to you, I say, here's your shoe, and I would have had that $50 in hand, and then I would have paid you the $10 initially. So I mean, I would have an extra $40 that I didn't have at all before, right? Yeah. I don't know if that explained that. Was that confusing? Well, I don't know.
My concept of like shorting is it's borrowing from the broker. So
I don't think it has to be.
This is in its simplest form from what I understand. Let me see if I say it properly. So I want to buy some stock, right? But I'm gonna short the stock. Let's say I'm gonna short. Give me a stock. Give me a stock. I go short.
NCB.
Let's say it's NCB, right? Basically, what I would have to do is I would have to borrow the shares of NCB from the broker, right?
So Mayberry, MJE
from
said,
Mayberry.
Hey, we have some NCB shares.
They might have some NCB shares, so I'm borrowing the shares from the broker, and then I sell those borrowed shares right away at whatever that price is right now, like the current price. So let's say NCB share at $50, I sell it, and I'm shorting because I want it to go to $40. So I sell those borrowed shares right away at the current price, which is $50, and later if the stock falls, then you buy those same number of shares back, but at a lower price. and then you return those shares to the broker. Cause remember, you did borrow it from the broker before, so you have to return those same shares to the broker. But that difference in price, you keep that difference because you're buying those shares low, right? Because
if you got it
bought.
right.
If you got it right. If you got it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you got it right, you're buying it low at the 40, but you did borrow it at 50. So you keep the difference between the price you sold at, and I sold it at the 50, and the price you bought it back at, minus any interest or fees and them kind of stuff. So that's my understanding of shorting, where, you know, it's just, that's why I say the crucial part about shorting is the brokers, because there is risk on the broker's end for that. So yeah, and then they would also have
I don't think it's always the broker itself that has to own the shares, or because if I was the broker can facilitate that. So say I was a shareholder who isn't planning to sell my shares for a long time. Maybe the broker approaches me because they're like, so you say you go to Mayberry, and Mayberry is like, hey, shareholder X has these shares and he's willing to lend it to people because he knows at the end of the day the person will buy it back. So the broker could, I guess, facilitate that transaction. That's what so I don't think necessarily the broker necessarily has to own the shares directly, or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because then I don't know if that's going into things like options, but yeah, fair. Yeah. As somebody that's never shorted a stock, that's just my understanding. I hope I did it justice, but yeah, yo, it's gonna be interesting when that comes to the market. It's gonna be